quanto pare questo ragazzo chiamato Nimsi ha creato Fortnite in Minecraft. E non è la solita mod che cambia un pochino la grafica. Questo ragazzo ha letteralmente programmato l'intero Battle Royale in Minecraft. È assurdo. Ok, vediamo cosa ha fatto, ragazzi. Abbiamo un piccolo trailer qua all'inizio. E sì, il video è in inglese, ma fidatevi, sarà una cosa assurda, cercheremo di capirlo al meglio. Ok, qua spiega un attimino che vuole appunto creare Fortnite in Minecraft, perché in entrambi ci sono le build. E sentite qua quanto tempo ci mette per creare il gioco. Un anno per creare questa mod. Un anno, ragazzi. Assurda. Ok, vediamo come inizia. Ok, in pratica, ragazzi, qua sto dicendo che adesso che ci sta tutta quanta la roba figa, Thanos, superpoteri, spade volanti, lui vuole rifare il Fortnite OG. Questo è un po' di tempo fa, prima che tornasse Fortnite OG in game. E devo essere sincero, secondo me l'ha fatto anche perché è molto più facile Fortnite OG di programmare queste cose. Già ci ha messo un anno per fare Fortnite OG. Immaginate creare i superpoteri che stanno adesso in game.
Which is why I don't want to just recreate Fortnite in Minecraft, but also that experience. And considering there's a large audience of Fortnite kids I can exploit for views, I think this is a great idea.
Adesso anche lo fa per views questo video, ma ci sta.
We gotta make building like walls, floors,
ok, building.
UI, or in other words,
la UI, che sarebbe tutta quanta la grafica sopra.
The entire OG Season 3 Chapter 1 map, 1-to-1. The lobby, so we have...
Vuole rifare l'intera mappa della Season 3 in Minecraft. È pazzesco, ragazzi. Io pensavo tipo una mini battle. Ci credo che ci ha messo un anno.
And let me tell you, this is by far what I'm most worried about because I have no idea how much it'll lag. Anyways, for starters, I'd rather not get sued by Epic, so how about we call this game mode Night. Yes, building.
Il Night.
Building in both Minecraft and Fortnite.
Minecraft Night.
A build system would be pretty simple.
Ok, bella sta costruzione.
At first I looked up other attempts at remaking Fortnite and Minecraft for inspiration, but their build system, let alone their guns, were just not the best.
Infatti, vedete, queste qua sono le mod di Minecraft, ragazzi. Vecchie. Quella che ha fatto lui è assurda. Ok. Questo è il muro, vabbè, facilissimo, è il muro. Che qua credo sì, perché non solo lo sapete, ragazzi, guardate in creativa. Le build di Fortnite si possono mettere semplicemente su una tipo scacchiera. E quindi sto cercando di creare la stessa scacchiera per mettere le cose in ordine. E infatti questo ragazzo è un pazzo. Ok. Oh, bellissimo, ha già fatto le build. Oh, che schifo il tetto.
Bear in mind, if I told you the amount of times I had to recode the entire thing from scratch, you'd probably think I'm a lunatic. And I don't think you're too far off. What I just showed you, this build system alone took me about 3 months. The same amount of time.
3 mesi! 3 mesi per fare le build, solo le build.
Finish this damn project. I don't think Mojang intended its players to be cranking 90s in Minecraft.
Però vedete qua, questo può fare i 90s su Minecraft.
Line up on the y-axis just because of the nature of the game and the approach I went with. And because the blocks are so thick, it'll be a little more difficult to use than Fortnite, but I'm hoping it'll calm down some of you tryhards, which I doubt for some reason. Lastly, we have to add what I like to call the chain effect. You know, the thing when you break the bottom of a build and when it's not connected to anything else.
Ok, adesso deve fare la meccanica di distruzione dei blocchi. Non dovrebbe essere facile, scusa, non esiste già. No, non esiste in Minecraft.
So I ended up getting some help.
Solo la sabbia cade.
From the Denizen support team, not a therapist. Yet. And thanks to Jumpsplat 420, wait, 120, we got it. I won't be adding editing because I'm sort of short on time and I just want to keep it simple for now. I'm sorry. What? Fine, okay, fine. I added editing to builds. Are you happy now?
Ha aggiunto pure l'editing.
See, it's a little different from Fortnite and more
ma si può editare come ti pare a te.
So I can imagine players getting pretty creative with it. Next up, the UI.
Bello questo, si può editare come ti pare. Non sono solamente gli edit di Fortnite. Figo.
just like how I did with Brimstone's map from Nimrin. The only problem being that if I use too many characters, it will kick me from the server, since each block is a colored pixel. That, and I don't think it'd be a good idea to use this minimap method for 100 different players. Then I remembered a Discord post from ASD, the same guy that helped me out with the UI in my last video. He successfully made a minimap without mods, only using a resource pack and its core shaders.
Ok, qua ha fatto... Ok, qua sto cercando di fare la minimappa dove vuole far vedere tutti i player, perché?
Because I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't get a lot of it. But if you're interested in knowing how it was done, ASD is making a video on it on his channel, so I'll link it below. Anyways, then I found a program online called Unwind that let me render the map as an image that I can use.
E poi fra l'altro io prendo tanto per in giro, ma l'intera storia di Fortnite ci vuole quasi un anno praticamente per farlo uscire, perché l'ho registrata il 19 di marzo del 2024, siamo al 22 gennaio, probabilmente ci vorrà un anno anche per l'intera storia di Fortnite.
Custom health bars, material counters, and my favorite part of the HUD, the custom hotbar. And with that, the UI was complete. For the gameplay,
bella la UI, ragazzi.
In the last video, I painfully made Valorant spray patterns, but Fortnite's isn't as complicated, so the guns actually felt...
Cioè, guardate qua, ha fatto... Oddio, sono io davanti, ci sono io davanti. Legno, mattone, ferro, tutta la UI è bellissima. Anzi, facciamo così perché mi sono spostato. Posso semplicemente fare così. È stupenda come l'ha fatta. Bello! I modelli per le armi.
The grenade launcher also feels very, very nice to use. But then, what do you know? Minecraft decides to ban guns for some reason. Even though they literally have gunpowder in the game. Don't worry, I'm not backing out of this project because of this. But please donate to my Patreon. After adding other simple items like
hanno bannato le armi da Minecraft.
Shields, and even the bush, I coded the logic for chests, ammo
fatto il
boxes, and supply
cespuglio.
drops. And with Satori's sweet modeling skills, this is what we ended up with. And on top of that, I rendered each item as their own image so they show up in the custom hotbar. Pretty clean, am I right?
Ragazzi, è assurdo.
Right? For the battle bus, I hired another modeler, Johnny, because Satori did not want to model a monster like that, and understandably so. And my god, it's beautiful, but let's just say there's a bit of turbulence when you're on it. Speaking of the battle bus, we have to add the ability to
questo ha fatto il boost meglio di quello di Fortnite.
Negative levitation for that sort of glide effect once they jump off the bus, or just use Minecraft's already existing vanilla gliding mechanic from Elytra's. Which option do you think I used?
Ok, questo qua dice: quale opzione ho utilizzato per fare il gliding? L'Elytra, ragazzi, che lo sappiamo tutti quanti, che è praticamente il glider in Minecraft, oppure una specie di levitazione negativa. Visto che questo ragazzo, abbiamo capito che in 6 minuti è pazzo, potrebbe aver fatto la levitazione, però secondo me non è talmente tanto pazzo da perdere così tanto tempo. Secondo me ho usato l'Elytra, non è così ritardato.
Neither, I actually had to make my own gliding velocity logic so you can't fly around at extreme speeds on some Superman type shit. And with a little bit of particle effect magic and actually adding
bello!
Here's what it looks like. The arm bars, on the other hand, are a work in progress.
Dai, mi aspettavo che facesse pure un'animazione per le braccia.
Obviously, it wouldn't be a recreation of Fortnite if there weren't any emotes, so I'm proud to introduce to you my first and last ever block bench animation, the default dance. I got a video of the dance online.
Ok, ha fatto solo la default dance come animazione perché aveva ci ragazzi.
I even remade the 3 different soundtracks that randomly play, with the third one.
Ha anche messo le 3 vecchie... I 3 vecchi suoni, adesso ce ne sono solamente 2. Lui ne ha messi tutti e 3.
I'm quite literally the best. Though the emote in-game was a little cursed for a while due to item displays and quaternions. In case you didn't know, quaternions are a more advanced way of describing rotations in 3D space. So I basically had to learn 4th dimensional concepts to add the default dance in Minecraft. Was it worth it?
Ok, ha dovuto imparare la 4ª dimensione dallo spazio dei videogiochi per mettere la default dance.
Will the immense views, clout, and praise that I get from doing this be worth it? Oh, absolutely. Besides, I think I learned the secret to time travel. By the time the default dance animations started to grow on me, thanks to username Max, after fixing some battle bus rendering issues which also involved quaternions, it seemed like emotes were fixed too. For sling skins, on the other hand, I don't think they're fixed yet. And that goes in my bugs I don't care about list. Let me tell you, any bugs that you find while playing this game mode, I probably have in my bugs I don't care about list. Adding the default dance animation made me realize I can also add a really cool death effect instead of the plain and boring way you die in vanilla. So using a variety of display entities, I ended up with this. Speaking of death, I also added every single death message possible. And finally, for arguably one of the biggest gameplay elements in Fortnite, the storm. Originally, I was just going to use Minecraft's vanilla world border, but then ASD had to make my life that much harder and make this absolute beauty completely from core shaders, or a resource pack, and I thought to myself, it'd be a shame not to use it. But what I didn't think to myself was how much extra pain and suffering it would be to make our own custom world border let alone a circular one. What ASD made was cool, but it was only a proof of concept, since it was still pretty buggy and even replaced all glows.
Ah, che però questa storm è buggata, quindi alla fine dovuta farlo tutto da solo.
Model and had ASD reuse the code he already made for the storm's animations onto the new version. But only so many angles are supported in a Minecraft item model, so the closest thing to a
però giustamente la storm è circolare, in Minecraft non esistono i cerchi, come
like
ha
a
fatto?
get was a hexadecagon, and this is a slight
Ah, ha
problem
fatto
because,
l'exo
okay, yeah, it looks fine and circular enough.
È praticamente un cerchio con quasi, è quasi un
at its
cerchio, ok.
largest, it's a little inaccurate since the custom barrier we made in the code thinks it's a circle, but visually it's not. So it may seem like you're in the storm even though you aren't sometimes. How about we
Ah, quindi c'è questo piccolo bug che sembra, visto che la storm nel programma è un cerchio, ma in game è più così, cioè vedete, è più così che così. Oh mio Dio, che esempio. Più in game è così, tanti angoli, nella vita reale è più così, un cerchio. Ah, questo è un cerchio, questo è quello che ha fatto lui della storm. Alla fine sono tutti e due dei cerchi, no? Capito? Non so chi è più pazzo, se io o lui, però.
We fix it though. Now for the map.
E quindi ha fatto la storm, un po' buggata, ma ha fatto la storm.
This was probably one of the most least enjoyable things I've ever done in my career as a Minecraft coding god. In other words, it was torture. I began by remaking each structure in POI.
E quindi adesso deve rifare tutta la
exactly the
mappa.
way it is in Fortnite using our very own build system. I couldn't do it any other way because I needed to give the blocks the necessary tile data for them to properly break the way they break in Fortnite. Luckily for me, back in March when Fortnite dropped Creative 2.0, some map makers actually remade the exact OG map I was looking for, which gives me a great reference. Only problem was my replay system in Fortnite was bugged and it just didn't work. So I had to go in game, find the spot I'm remaking, stay there for as long as I can until I died of the storm, then do the whole thing over again. This was my life for a month or so.
Quindi per rifare la mappa è andato nella modalità OG della creativa, perché ancora non esisteva la modalità OG di adesso, e andava in partita perché i replay non gli funzionavano, rimaneva lì fin quando la storm non ammazzava e nell'altro schermo costruiva in Minecraft.
And every time I showered, which, I'll be honest, was infrequent, I was not only washing off the accumulated toxic waste that had built up from my countless hours of daily degeneracy, but also the pain and suffering that went with it. When I finished, I realized, shit, we gotta put this somewhere, that somewhere being the terrain. And in hindsight, I probably should have made the terrain first, because if you thought the building was the hardest part of making the map, no.
Quindi questa sarà la parte più difficile di fare la mappa.
3 months! All I was working on was the terrain. You see this empty space over here? During that entire time, I did not touch the code one bit because...
Giugno, luglio e agosto spesi a fare il terreno di Fortnite invece di godersi la vita. Porca miseria, ci credo che è finito con sta faccia.
It was bad. It was bad. While I was working on the terrain, I decided it'd be best to hire another guy to retexture the sort of skeleton builds that I made to actually make them look good. And that's where Freya comes in. He lives in Turkey, which meant I had to keep my computer on overnight for him to join my server, and during the day, I'm on my PC. So I basically had to keep my PC on 24/7 for the rest of this project.
Ha lasciato acceso il computer 24 ore su 24 perché il ragazzo che lo stava aiutando era in Turchia e quindi lui faceva da server e per entrare nella sua mappa doveva tenere il PC acceso, se no il tizio della Turchia non poteva. Wow, non poteva entrare in...
Kid you not, I actually think it raised my room's temperature by a couple degrees. I mean, look at my wall. This is where my PC fan points to. Anyways, back to terraining. Look at my...
Qui è dove il PC butta l'energia, cioè butta il vento. Si è bruciato il muro. Porca miseria! Perché ci sta il succo d'arancia sbattuto qua?
Anyways, back to terraining. I used a program called World Painter and realized it has a cool feature that lets you create worlds based off of height maps, which are just images that look like this. So if I could somehow get my hands on the Season 3 Chapter 1 height map, then I could just convert it into a Minecraft world. So after a bit of searching, I found a Fortnite height map extractor online by Minshu. Then I found another resource on GitHub that had files for all the older versions of Fortnite. The one we're looking for being version 3.1 with the Athena terrain. So I downloaded it and used the extractor to get the height map. All we had to do now...
quindi qua ha trovato... avete presente le cartine geografiche dove si vedono le montagne? Ecco, la stessa cosa di Fortnite l'ha messa in questo programma e il programma gli ha creato automaticamente le montagne.
Not really. When I went in-game to see what it looked like, it was just so bumpy and blocky, meaning if we used the height map directly like this, the game mode would be unbearable to play. On the other hand, I didn't have to go inside Fortnite to calculate how tall the mountains are and stuff. I could just use this imported height map to get the general height of whatever part of the terrain I'm working on. And that's when I started.
Ok, però comunque l'ha aiutato perché praticamente come l'ha fatto il gioco erano troppe alte le montagne, come avete visto. Ma lo sto usando per vedere quanto alte sono le montagne.
Keep in mind, this was my first time ever doing terrain work, and I'm not gonna lie, the World Painter video tutorials online were not cutting it. I started off by trying to make one decent mountain and did it over and over again until I got it just right. Then when I was happy with it, I started moving on to the rest. Eventually, I started feeling like a fucking map maker in the 1400s after not only noting the heights of all the mountains, but also the surrounding hills of it. Fast forward to after my summer, the terrain was pretty much complete. Next, I added Loot Lake, the rivers, the roads, and painted the terrain. Freya and another guy named Yuri also helped me out with the terrain's more minute details. But remember when I said I should have done the terrain first and then the builds? Yeah, well, this is where it bites me back in the ass. I had to make my own copy-paste system that not only copies over the blocks, but also the tile data within those blocks that make the tiles, well, tiles. And after, the last bit of the terrain we had to add were trees and rocks. Satori and I had built these trees from a while
back. E gli
mancano
ancora gli alberi, le rocce.
For these trees and rocks, I coded a custom tool that
allora, forse alla fine un anno è stato pure poco.
To the actual game. But of course, this is the project where everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And after a Fortnite update, the replay system for many creative islands just stopped working. And at this point, I was at my lowest for this project. You see, Satori and Freya, almost at the same time, basically started ghosting me, and they weren't finished with the last few things they had left to do. I also totally didn't get banned from the Denizen Discord server for a couple months. Let's just say some of the mods over there are pretty strict, and this project was just taking too long. I thought it would take me 3 months, yet here I am, a year later, taking advantage of the fact that I'm feeling demotivated for the sake of this video's plot. But a wise man once asked the question, never back down, never once.
Questo non è quello di Never Back Down, quindi vabbè. Ha pure sposato il meme, ci sta.
I vented my frustrations on Twitter for some attention. And now we get ready for the final stretch. To complete the map, we have to place down all the chests, ammo boxes, and props. Inside the building, it's pretty dull, so I had to mettere
tutte le ceste. E tutti, vuole mettere pure tutti.
Since he didn't finish the rest of the models, I had to step in and show him how it's done. As you can see, I am quite the artist. Now, every couch, every chair, every bed, every bookshelf, every closet, every toilet, I will try my best to position correctly. So after coding the logic for breaking the props, with the help of my mods, I started placing them across the map. Meanwhile, I started preparing for the test run announcement. I needed a lot of players to pull this off. We basically spent a year on this project, and I literally couldn't afford it to flop. So I did it. I paid for a Twitter verified subscription to boost my test run announcement post in the algorithm. You know how much flame I can get from such a maneuver? And rightfully so.
Ok, si è comprato Twitter extra, Twitter blu come cacchio si chiama, per provare a portare più tester possibili nella sua modalità.
I couldn't for the life of me think of how the menu should look in Minecraft. So I spent a week just trying out different designs, and after a lot of trial and
deve fare adesso il menu in Minecraft.
It's pretty nice, if I do say so myself.
Ok, vediamo.
Wow.
Sono entrati in partita.
Chat.
Assurdo, ragazzi.
What's up, everybody? We got 28 people here. Jesus, guys.
Vabbè, un po' di emote buggate, però ci sta.
Kind of breaking it. I'm happy that
ma è stupendo, ragazzi.
Shot while I'm gliding still. Oh shoot. There's a guy.
Bellissimo. Ragazzi, voglio dire, aspetta, fammi spostare di qua. Okay. Ragazzi, è assurda lì. Avete i danni pure ha fatto. Questo non l'aveva fatto vedere nel momento programmazione. Bellissime le armi che rotano.
Wow, don't mind if I do.
Bello. Però bravissimo mi saluto quello ho detto. Stavo per dire bravissimo a programmare ma non a sparare, però invece.
Let's go. Oh shit,
è Gothic.
There's so many third partiers.
Bello.
Oh my god.
Oh, qua è vicino Pinnacoli al loot lake, ragazzi. Alla fine di loot lake. Porca miseria, si riconosce dove stanno. Non ci voglio credere. Bello il tac, bellissimo.
Ok, I see a guy. He saw me.
Ok, questo sembra le fabbricate di loot lake. Cioè, non mi serve nemmeno vedere la minimappa, ragazzi. So dove sta. È fatto così bene che mi ha proprio dove sta.
I almost naded myself.
No, ha fatto pure un'animazione per il piccone per spaccare le build.
Oh, I got him.
Ma è incredibile.
Wow.
Ok, top 3. Ha una kill, quindi questa è un'altra partita, infame, ha tagliato, facendoci pensare che fosse la stessa partita, invece. Bellissimo sto vampa. Top 3, top 3, top 3 ancora. Vai, vai. Top 2, 1v1, 1v1. No, mi sa che si perde.
No!
Porca miseria, è arrivato secondo nella sua stessa modalità.
Oh, I cracked him.
Hittato?
Oh!
Ed eccola qua, la
that's
Victory
game.
Royale.
Let's go!
Ovviamente è uscito
Let's go.
anche l'immagine della Victory Royale, bellissima. Iscriviti, ciao!